Welcome. Episode 47, I think. It has gone so fast. So we got Luke Pearce from the Game Changers. He is an epic individual. I met Luke here about maybe 6 months ago, through my good friend John Templeton, who is a life performance coach as well, and he is just changing the game over here. And Luke was his mentor with respect to getting him through the NLP and timeline therapy and a few other different bits and bobs. And they're working together to basically help transform people's lives, and they're doing an epic job. And only known Luke for a short time, but his story and what I've seen and what I've heard, mate, it's next level, and it inspired me, and hence why I wanted to get him on here to basically speak to you guys and share his journey. And then from there, I'm sure you guys will see exactly what we love about him. Boom. Early morning special. Hey guys. Hey Katie. Hey Lukey. Polo. Long time no see, brother.
Yeah, good morning, my man.
How are you, man?
Good. What's happening?
A whole lot. Thanks for joining on this early morning special. Well, it's not that early, but it is early compared to when the Daily Bee's usually cracking.
Mate, you're very welcome. This is like my time of day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come 5 o'clock, the dad hat goes on, and yeah, I'm rocking and rolling with the kids. So this is good. It's perfect for me. It's great.
Beautiful, man. I love it. So, mate, just a quick bio and an intro to those that don't know you. Can you share a little bit about where you're at and where you're from?
Where I'm at right now. So look, where I'm at right now is, I'm at a pretty good point in my life compared to where I have been in the past. I've absolutely worked my ass off to get to where I am now. And I would say that the position that I'm at now in life is really a position where I've sorted myself out enough, so to speak, to truly be able to give back to other people in need. So I do that in many, many different ways. I do that through training in NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, do that through one-on-one coaching, online stuff, just being there to have a chat. But I think the best thing that, about my life right now is that the vision is really starting to come into reality, which is really cool. So, I hope that paints a little bit of a picture for people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. And can you, on that note of painting a picture, can you take us back to when it wasn't this way, back to before you actually began this journey, and what life used to look like? Can you paint that picture for us?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, really, when you think about it, right? So I suppose, like, if you go back, I grew up in Hervey Bay, which is about 4 hours north from here. Like, beautiful, beautiful little place. Had an amazing family. Grew up with two parents that were just dead set legends. Worked their, backside off to give, us four kids everything that we needed and wanted, et cetera, et cetera. I had three older sisters that are dead set legends. But I suppose back then, when I was sort of growing up, obviously when you're new to this world, you don't really know that much, right? And I think for myself, I
very new still.
Yeah, well, look, I'm exactly the same point. When you realize how little you know, like, life becomes a lot easier, right? Because you don't have to try and put on the mask of, I know everything. It's like, well, hang on a second, pretty much next to fuck all. So, do the best you can with what you got, and you'll do all right. But the thing was like, my perception was, I grew up in a family that was three older sisters, right? And obviously, like, mum and dad was working all the time. So, like, I was the only, sort of male in the house, like boy in the house at the time. And I think now, looking back on it, the biggest thing is like, I didn't feel like I fitted in.
Yeah.
Like, I was living in a family. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't even feel it. I don't even feel fit in. This is weird, because, like, I'm sort of filling a gap that's not really meant to be filled. And that put me on a massive path of seeking acceptance from other people.
Okay.
And man, I tell you what, that's a dangerous and potentially very deadly path to be on.
It really is, yeah. And do you mind me asking how deep and how dark that path took you?
Yeah, well, look, it got pretty deep and dark. That was, obviously growing up, everything was all good. But then I hit probably 13 or 14. And guess what you start doing at 13 or 14? You start hanging around other people that's not your family.
Yeah.
Now, the scary thing for me is I started hanging around people that would accept me, like, straight away. And the people that so-called accepted me, they were in the same boat. they were looking for acceptance. They were seeking significance. They were seeking someone to fit into and be a tribe of and be, you know, a community. Obviously, we never knew this because it was all on an unconscious level, but it's like the people that I was attracting were not doing great things.
Yeah.
So, you know, guess what I ended up doing, right? I ended up doing not great things. You know, smoking, drinking, fighting, going out, just being like a bit of a rebel, just being a dickhead, really. When I look back on it, it's like, you know, just doing silly things.
We've all had our
But
moments.
the thing, yeah, we've all been there. This is a very, you know, this is a universal, like I said, the hero's journey is universal, right? It's not just a one-off thing for one person. But, yeah, it's strange because I started doing things that other people were doing, but my biggest like downfall and strength is that whatever I do, like I do it over the top.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people like smoking, right? 14 people were smoking, having a couple of cigarettes, and I'm like, man, let's chain smoke these suckers. Let's get stuck into it, and you know, and then drinking came along, and it's like, well, man, if you guys are going to start drinking, fuck, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that led to a path of being very miserable, being very lost, and being very dependent on what other people think, and also being dependent on distracting myself from the chaos that was going on inside my body.
And so what was the catalyst that began your journey of figuring out that that wasn't the right way, or that there was something better out there for you?
Yeah, there's many. Yeah, massively. So there's many defining moments. I suppose like the biggest one that always pops out was my parents. I think I was about probably 16 or 17. And it got to the point, I don't know if you or anyone else has ever had this experience, but you got to the point where what everyone is telling you, as in like you're a dickhead, you're no good, like it starts to come true and you start to witness it in other people. It's like, hang on a second, what I'm doing actually is not good. You know, people are like, oh, there's Luke again. Oh my God. You know, they'll start to do these ones because I'd be out on the, you know, on the town getting full of grog and making a dickhead of myself. But that was a big one. That was a big one when I started seeing that people that I cared about were starting to lose hope in me. Yeah. They were like, oh, he's, you know, he's going down that path and he's not listening to anyone. So something bad is going to happen, and they necessarily didn't want to be around that. So that was a big one. That was like a, holy shit, hang on a second. My actions are influencing a lot of other people. So
throughout that stage, was there some sort of mentor or someone that came into your life that has had a really big impact in that sense to really help you cross over?
Yeah. Look, there's been many, but, you know, one I would say, and I'm totally fine, you know, talking about it now. A couple of years ago, I would have been a bit weird talking about it. But now I think it's like, I know that it's my intuition, that inner self, you know, God, universe, Buddha, the divine matrix, whatever people want to label it as, it's all the same stuff. But it was that burning desire, it was that little thing inside me saying, hey, dude, like you're better than what you are portraying. Like there's more out there. You can do something different. You can change. All right. And that's sort of the moment that message came through was the moment where I woke up one day and I was staying with my sister, and she had a two-story house. She had the house upstairs, obviously, and I was sleeping downstairs in the garage. By this stage, I was a dead set borderline alcoholic. I was working as an apprentice butcher at the time. All right, so I had to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I can remember waking up. I can remember waking up some mornings and having like 3 or 4 beers before going to work. And it's like
for me. Yeah.
Bongs. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? But you think about it, it's like being a butcher, working with knives, working with minces, working with bloody bandsaws and all that sort of stuff. It's probably not the smartest thing to do.
Should definitely be drunk while using them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, right? I remember being on the bandsaw one day, and an old guy who was, you know, obviously been butchering for a million years, came over and he whispered in my ear and he said, aim for the middle one. You know, because there's one saw blade, right? He's like, aim for the middle one, because you could see that I was pissed. And he's like, you shouldn't be doing that, but aim for the middle one. And I was like, what? Yeah. But still got all my fingers, so that's all good.
Beautiful.
But anyway, getting back to, you know, the moment where I woke up in my sister's house. Dude, I just woke up one morning and I was sleeping on like a mattress that was just thrown on the ground. I had a massive big screen TV. I had a bar fridge, all that sort of stuff, had a barbecue. And being 17 or 18, I thought I made it. And then I woke up one morning, I was hungover as shit. My girlfriend left me. My parents, you know, obviously moved away from Harvey Bay. And I remember seeing my sister. She walked down because the laundry was in where I was staying. She walked down and she just looked at me, and it was almost like I could read her mind. It's almost like I felt what she felt. And it was just like, he hasn't got long to go. Like, when's it going to happen?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it got to the point where she actually thought that I was going to, you know, commit suicide or do something very stupid in her house. And, you know, for me, that was a massive moment because it was like, fuck, wow. I'm 18, 17. Is this how good it gets? I haven't even started yet.
Yeah, it's full on.
You know.
Did you feel that within yourself? Is that like the part that you felt that?
Massive. Deep down inside, I knew that I was an absolute wreck. You know, I knew I was a mess, but what I was doing was just, you know, doing everything under the sun to distract me from it.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't work at all.
No, it really doesn't.
Well, it depends what your outcome is. If you want to, you know, throw your life down the drain, then just do that. It'll work really well. Yeah. But if you don't, things have got to change.
So for people that are in that space still, and the people that are looking around them and just recognizing that it's not quite the way they want it, what's some things you would touch on and say to those people?
So like people, yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, people that are in that position, the very first thing that needs to happen is obviously a decision needs to be made. A decision needs to be made and fully 150% committed to. My decision was no more. No more. This is bullshit. I'm not doing this for another second. And I literally packed up. I went into work that day and I said to my boss, hey, I quit. I packed up my ute of 18 years of living in Harvey Bay and I moved to the Gold Coast, and I've been back twice.
Oh, shit.
So for me, that's what I had to do personally, because if I didn't do that, I would have either ended up in jail, you know, ended up probably really harming someone else because I was doing just stupid shit. And then, you know, door number 3 is I would have ended up killing myself easily by now. Shit. That was, you know, 12 years ago. Yeah. So, for other people, what you need to do is you need to make a decision that, hey, this can't go on the way that it's going on. Yeah. And everyone, I truly believe, knows that. Everyone knows that, you know, whatever situation they're in, if it's not good, they know deep down inside that that it can't keep going on the way it's going on. But the thing that holds them back is like the fear of changing, the fear of doing something different. And for me, it was like, fuck, it was the scariest thing I ever done, but I didn't have another option. I didn't have plan B. I didn't have plan C. I didn't have, you know, 100 different avenues. I was just like, right now, today, what do I need to do? I got to get out of the environment that I'm in because it's literally killing me. Yeah, man. What I'm hearing from people is that it's easy to say, but when you're sort of in that shitty space, to have that self-belief of something that really you've got no guarantee of becoming into reality, because when everything around you says that reality isn't what you're dreaming of. Can you talk me through the processes or your experiences in really finding that self-belief in that, or just gradually building up evidence to the contrary of the life you were living? Yeah. Look, going back to when I was actually in it, I had no idea. I didn't have any, like back at that stage, I had no idea about self-belief or anything like this. I just knew it's like, whatever I'm doing is not working. Whatever I'm doing is not working, so I got to change. And it's funny because a lot of people ask me that. They say like, oh, what's the biggest thing that drives you? What's the thing that, you know, makes you get out of bed in the morning? What's the thing that, you know, keeps pushing you forward? And I'm like, you know what? I really, at this point in time in my life, there's many, many things that I could say, but I still don't think that that's it. So I don't know. It's almost like I tell people it's almost like this, I suppose it's like the true self, if that's what you want to call it. It's almost like the true self took over. It's like, hey, this is not what we're meant to be doing. This is what we're meant to be doing. You listen to us, and I can guarantee you things are going to turn out really, really well. But You've been doing a lot of dumb shit for a long time, so it's going to take a bit of time for all this to get cleaned up.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's really well
but if you do what we say and you listen to us, I can promise you we're going to take you on one of the most blissful and beautiful and most scenic tours you've ever been on. And it was almost like, you know how a lot of people say, like, oh, I sell your soul to the devil?
Yep.
So for me, I was in a point, I was like, Buddha, Jesus, God, whoever, you know, I was talking to dead relatives. I didn't care who it was as long as I listened.
Just somebody listen.
And I said to them, I'm like, hey, you show me what to do and I will do anything. You show me what to do and I'll do it. Now, here's where the, you know, the double-edged sword slaps you in the face a couple of times. When you say that you will do anything, you know, they're fighting words, right?
They are, yeah.
So it's like, right, if you would do anything, first thing is you got to do is you got to literally get out of the environment that you're in because it's toxic and it's killing you. Second thing is you're going to have to, you know, learn to deal with yourself. You're going to have to learn to actually live with yourself because, you know, up until then, obviously I was just distracting myself from myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's,
epically,
you know, huge.
With all the things.
All the things, right? It's like, I always tell people that if you can make peace with yourself, you've won the game. That's step number one. Make peace with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, once upon a time, I wouldn't be able to just sit there quietly by myself for 5 to 10 minutes. You know, now I'm like, oh, thank God I'm by myself. Hey, what are we going to do today? You know, having these internal dialogues with myself, and it's really cool.
I've gone back a little bit as well to what gets you going, and what just came up for me was just having an insatiable thirst for just wonder for the world, like an inquisition.
Oh, hugely.
Always having questions, and I think just that that want to know what is possible, that desire to know what is possible.
Yes. The curiosity, you know, I said this at Prac a couple of weeks ago. People like, oh, you know the old saying, like, curiosity killed the cat?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Curiosity created everything that you're looking at. And everyone was like, holy fuck, that's so awesome. I'm like, but think about it. It's so true.
Yeah.
Curiosity is the thing. Because curiosity will get you to ask that question, what if? Like, fuck, what would it be like? What would it be like if we were, you know, this is a question that I ask myself anyway. It's like, what would it be like if I wasn't a dickhead? What would it be like if I was actually, you know, useful and loving in this world? What would it be like if people actually, you know, got positive value out of me rather than destructive behaviors out of me? What would it be like if I was a role model? And all these sorts of things. And it turns out that when you start asking those questions, the answers seem to mysteriously pop up in front of your eyes.
And it's any question, they mysteriously pop up in front of your eyes. So if we're asking really low quality, low vibrating questions, like, why am I so big today? Why am I not got the job that I want? Why don't I have the misses that I want? Well, you're going to get all the answers in the world as to why you don't have
massively.
So,
massively. Yeah.
There you go. I can see you on a train of thought there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, a really important question to ask yourself. And I think this is really like, one of the most powerful questions that anyone can ask themselves is just like, what is it that I need to learn from this situation in order to blank, fill in the blank? What is it that I need to learn from this situation in order to let go of anger? What is it that I need to learn from this situation in order to have confidence? What is it that I need to learn from this situation in order to get the sale, to make the sale, whatever it might be if you're in business? A really powerful question. It'll, you know, just that one question will change someone's life dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, understatement of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more so than you can fathom. You know. So whatever it is right now, there's 10 people on here live right now. Let's do this, right? Think about something, just surface level, nothing too deep. you know, because you're obviously by yourself, but just think about something that is maybe like a little problem, a little challenge in your life, and then just ask the question, what is it that I need to learn from this blank? What is it that I need to learn from this challenge in order to, and then insert whatever it is that you want. What is it that I need to learn in order to sort my finances out? What is it that I need to learn in order to know my self-worth? What is it that I need to learn in order to love myself? And I tell you what, that'll change. What day is it today? Friday. That'll set your weekend off to a pretty good start.
It definitely will. So one thing I think we skipped over as well, man, which I'd like to touch back on, and guys, if you didn't write that down, maybe watch the replay and get that and just jot down those questions as well, because they will send you on a spin for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But it was around the letting go, and I think that is such an epic part of the process of letting go of what you once were and who you once were, and
massively,
the daily challenges that arise with that. So yeah, can you share a bit more on that, because those that haven't or are struggling or even haven't understood that concept of sort of the death and rebirth of themselves.
I'd like to touch on that. Yeah. So look, the word that you just said then is very, very important, right? It's like the death of the old self. Now, with death, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be grieving attached to it. Okay, so what that means is like people go through change. This is what happens, right? Someone's living their life and they're doing their thing, but then they get to the point and it's like, you know what, this isn't working, I want it to change. Then they decide to change, but the thing is, because they haven't, so-called mourned, they haven't had a grieving process over their old self, then it creates a lot of conflict. All right, so my wife, April, absolutely amazing, beautiful lady, she said to me the other day, exactly what we're talking about now. She's like, you know, the number one thing that people need to do to, have more blank, whatever it is that they want in their life, is they need to mourn and accept that their old self was just a stepping stone in the timeline of life. It's like who I was when I was 18, being an absolute dickhead. Guess what? That got me the most amount of learnings that I could ever have gotten in my entire life. But a couple of years ago, I was ashamed to even accept that is what I have done.
Yeah.
So I didn't accept that. What I did is I pushed it down. I was like, no, that's not me. Yeah, but it's not me now because I choose to be different. But the thing is like, hey, that was you, and that you got you to where you are now. So instead of like saying, oh my God, you're, blah, 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 why don't you love and accept that part of you and watch, so-called magic happen? That's the aim of the game, right? Because like I said, the number one thing that people need to do is like, come to peace with yourself and your life will be flipped upside down. And if there is parts of your life that you are not accepting, then that means that you are not at peace with yourself because you haven't accepted it.
Yeah, boom. Can you paint a picture of an example from the one that you were really challenged with?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll use the example of when I was 18. Absolute drunk, just an absolute mess, right? Like my girlfriend left me. Everyone around me was just, it was just bad. So now being, nearly 30, this was probably about 2 years ago I integrated this. So I was 28 at the time. I was absolutely ashamed of who I was when I was 18. So I wouldn't tell anyone about it. And if anyone asked me like what I did when I was 18 or anything like that, I'd be really like try and cover it up. But the thing is, when you've got skeletons in the closet, you're going to spend a lot of energy trying to keep the door closed. All right. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. When people don't accept it, they push it down. That takes up a lot of energy. So what I did was I just come to the actual conclusion of exactly what I just said before. I'm like, hang on a second. That 18-year-old self was me once upon a time and still is me, but I choose to do things differently now. But what I had to do is I had to accept, and I had to literally be like, I had a conversation with myself in my head. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for going through a portion of your life of absolute uncertainty. You fucking did it. You went through all of it. Not only that, but you went through it and you were drunk. Not only that, you went through it and you had no idea what you were doing, and you still did it. And I was like, you know what? Well played, sir. Like, you're on my team now. We're one now.
Yeah,
And that,
man.
that forgiveness, like that, I get goosebumps talking about it now, right? It's like that forgiveness, that acceptance, and that love show to self absolutely flipped my world upside down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because guess what? Now there was no skeletons in the closet. So I was like, hey, fucking closet's there. If you want to look at it, go for it. Nothing in there.
And it's full of weapons.
Yeah, you want weapons of mass construction.
Construction. That's it.
Construction. Because yeah, it's funny. One of my good friends asked me the other day. They're like, oh, I was learning something. Like, why are you learning this stuff? And I'm like, I want weapons. And he's like, what? I'm like, I want weapons to do good with. Picture this, right? Stay with me. I know that you will love this, but this came to me a couple of months ago, and it was had to do with like Carl Jung doing shadow work and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, what you need to understand is that like you're a monster. He's like, what you need to understand is you've got a monster within inside you, but you don't know it, and that's what you're cutting off half of your power. And I was down the beach one day and I was going for a run, and this came to me from wherever it came to me, and it was like, you know what? You need to be a monster with an intention of a saint.
Yeah, wicked. Okay.
So what does that mean? That means that like you need to understand that you have got access to every trait of a human being. And people say, yeah, but that's not true. I could never hurt anyone. Bullshit. That's not true. If someone put a gun to, your child's head, you'd rip their face off. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do that, but what I'm talking about is the energy that creates that emotion. Imagine that energy put into doing something good. My God, you would be able to literally move mountains.
You literally can, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that, the mountains are in your mind. That's what you need to move.
And that's one of the biggest concepts for people to logically get spoken about, but to experientially get there, to recognize that there is no battle outside of us. There's literally no battle outside of us.
It's all, and that's the thing. When you understand that, because there's a big difference between like hearing something, experiencing something, and understanding something. I think they're all different worlds. But when you truly understand it after you've experienced it, and you know that your inner world is just a projection, to your outer world, it's like, why didn't anyone tell me? All this time I've been suffering, all this time I've been bashing my head against the wall.
Yeah.
But guess what? That takes a lot of responsibility to be like, your outer world's not that good, because your inner world, there's absolute chaos in it.
Yeah.
As above, so below.
And that taking responsibility, I think, is massive. And it's so hard and I remember first hearing that concept. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. Are you saying I've got to take responsibility for everything? Like that's a big ask in the form of what we've known responsibility to be, the way we've grown up and defined responsibility. So when someone says, mate, everything in the universe is your responsibility, like, I'm not quite ready if I'm up to that task just yet.
Well, exactly. So the thing with that is like you need in a mindset, like a neural connection within your brain, within your mind, wherever that is, it's like you need to have beliefs that back that up. Yeah. Because if you're talking about whatever you're talking about, you don't have beliefs to back that up, you will think that you are going batshit crazy. Yeah. All right. So for myself now, like I understand in my world anyway, I don't care what anyone else does in their world. That's not my job. My job is my world. So in my world, it's like, hey, this is what this means. That's what that means. This is how this works. And if it doesn't work in a way that, I like, then I fix my model of the world, or I change my model of the world. But the thing is, it's like, hang on, if I accept that I create everything in my world, in my universe, then sure as hell, you need to have beliefs that back that up. So beliefs would be a good one, as in like, I'm in control of the results that I get. I'm responsible for the results that I get. I can change the way that I think. So therefore I can change the things that I experience.
Yeah.
There's many, many parts of it, right? And that's why
absolutely.
sometimes it takes so much time, because you need to learn that through experience, touching, doing, you know,
Yeah.
living.
And also, like you said, so many, and when you said so many different aspects as well, like it really is like there's so many elements and shapes that life takes that to chuck a blanket statement over it, it really does need to be put through the ringer and through all the different shades of color of life and seen in so many different ways.
Massively. And that's why it's like, when you think about it, life is it's a pretty crazy journey, right? It's like we've got this vehicle, like our body, that we can go out and do things physically, but then there's also this other part of us that is connected to something that, you know, we may or may not know what it is. We can influence what, like, matter. We can influence what it is that we're doing in the world. We get to choose. Like, we have choice. I think that's, once again, if you understand that you have choice, just that alone will change your life. Because it's like, well, hang on a second. If I'm in, you know, a shitty shape within my body, if I'm really overweight, and I take responsibility for that, but guess what? Now that you've got choice, you can choose something different. You know, but once again, to say that to people that are not in the right level of thinking, they'll be like, oh yeah, but it doesn't just work that easily. It's like, well, that's a belief. When did you decide that?
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, this is what I truly believe. I truly believe in the heart of souls that every single person knows that they can change. Everyone knows it. I mean, you'd have to be very naive to look around the world and be like, oh no, you can't do that. It's like, have you fucking looked outside the crazy shit that's going on?
I think, you know, for a lot of people, and from my experience as well, my mind had never thought that question. I had never asked it. I remember when I was driving to work one day with my ex-partner, and she asked me, have you ever tried to get a promotion or do good at work before? That thought had never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Never even in... and that's I think why I remember it so clearly, because it was the very first time I'd ever thought, can I do better at work? And
yeah,
that was
how do you do that?
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm in exactly the same boat, and all these things that we're talking about now comes with a level of thinking, right? A level of thinking is everything, because if you've got like a small container, so to speak, it's like you can only fit so much in it. So what you got to do is make the container bigger by learning, expanding, growing, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, it's like these sorts of thoughts like we have now are totally normal.
Yeah.
But if we had been talking to ourselves like 10 years ago, one of us probably would have had a black eye. You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Can we go to the pub now? Like, can we just get, you know? So it's funny how things change, right? Like, things can change so quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, look, it can change so quickly, but it will take every single ounce of yourself to do it. And if you're committed to it,
temptations along the way. Yeah, sorry.
Well,
committed to it.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, if you're committed to it, it's like it'll work out. But you got to, you know, have plan A. People have plan A, B, C, and D, and they wonder why plan A is not working. It's like, well, you've got 3 plans in the pipeline, and unconsciously, it's like, well, we still got to give energy to that. It's like, no. Have one plan, but be very flexible.
Yeah.
Have one plan, be very flexible. What was the question you asked me before?
Yeah, so going along this path as well, there are a lot of temptations, and they come up as in different forms and fashions, and the pace at which things are dynamically changing, as soon as we say we're going to do something, it's almost within moments or minutes, we get our first tests and continuous tests to really build that foundation to achieve that. So can you talk about, just a little bit about those sort of temptations and your journey of overcoming and pushing forwards?
Look, temptations are ridiculously accessible. We're literally living in a noisy world, right? You know, we've got unlimited access to the world at our fingertips. So distractions are by far like the biggest things that are, you know, killing people's dreams, right? Because it's so easy to get distracted. And, you know, people talk about discipline and all that sort of stuff, and I totally get it. You need a lot of discipline to keep on the path. But what I would say is, like, number one, this is just me personally, you got to stay in your lane. I truly believe, and this is from my experience of looking outwardly and comparing myself to other people and what are they doing and should I be doing this? Should I have the online program? Should I be doing the webinars, you know, in a business sense, blah, blah, blah. And what that did was it took away from myself. So for me personally now, it's like, right, stay in my lane. Just stay in my lane, just do my thing. Just stay in my lane, do my thing. And obviously, like for me personally, it's been working out really well. It's taken me a long time, but it's working out pretty good. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
With the distractions side of things, with the temptation side of things, I think what you need to do is ask yourself the question, is what I'm doing right now adding to my life or taking away from my?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe I do this when I'm scrolling through Facebook, right? Because I'm a freaking sucker for it. I'll be sitting there at work. I'm like, all right, I got a client in an hour. I'll do this. Next week, no, get a notification. And, you know, 10 minutes is gone scrolling through bullshit on Facebook. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, right? So I just ask myself the question, like, yeah, it's like I ask myself the question, is this adding to my life or is it taking away? If it's adding to it, if I'm getting good stuff out of it, happy days, keep doing it. If it's not, I'm like, come on, dude, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah.
What do you actually, you know, want to be doing? What is it that we need to be doing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I would say that's a good question. Yeah, I would say that's a good one, right? Because, you know, you need to be consciously aware that you're distracted to start with, and maybe that'll take time.
Yeah, I was going to say there's like 3 steps in that process minimum to even get to the process of taking that action, which is the first one is just being aware. And that in itself takes a massive amount of self-awareness and just understanding of where you're at and to even be looking at yourself. But then the next step is to actually ask a question, ask a powerful question. And those 2 things are massive practices within themselves. Like you could literally do a 6-month course on just being aware and 6-month course on practicing high quality questions and still only be scratching the scratch of the surface.
Oh, so massively.
We skim over these things, but they are so fucking profound in just mentioning them.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about before, like the beauty of life. Like we've got a fair chunk of time. Even though time goes really quickly, it's like we've actually got a lot of time to sort ourselves out. And, you know, and to dive into yourself and be like, all right, how does this thing work? How does this thing work, right? And for me, it took, you know, I was still doing it every single day, but, you know, for me, it took quite a number of years to even get a grip on how things sort of worked. Once you understand a little bit of how things work for your model of the world and for you, because how you do things may not work for other people, then you can start having a bit of fun. You can start playing a bit.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like you don't go straight to the penthouse. Like when you build a building, you don't build the penthouse first, do you?
No.
It's like that would be very silly. Sure, you design it. You don't start building it. Why? Because you've got nothing to put it on. You put it on your, you know, put it on foundations. Then level 1, then level 2, then level 50, then level 100. And then all of a sudden you're at the penthouse.
Yeah, that's it. Really have that solid foundation is imperative.
Yeah. Look, I just want to, there's a comment that just comes through from Katie Cooper. Katie Cooper says, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So look, you might want to touch base on this now, but I'm a massive, massive believer of play the long-term game.
Fantastic, yeah.
Far too many people are trying to do way too much shit in a small amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's literally crushing them. And guess what? I'm bloody guilty of it. I've been there, I've done that. Yeah, everyone's, you know, this is the sort of world we live in now. But it's huge because if you can play the long-term game, then that means that you've got like flexibility. And the person or the system that is most flexible will control the system.
Mm.
You know, it's like the law of requisite variety. It's like the system with the most flexibility will win.
Yeah.
Because we don't live in the, it's crazy, right? It's like we don't live in the age of survival of the fittest anymore. That's gone and past. I truly believe that it's like, you know, it's survival of the most adaptive, of the most flexible.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
You know, Yeah, so you take someone out of their environment and put them into another environment. The person who adjusts best to that environment will win. I believe anyway, at this point in time, today anyway. Who knows? Tomorrow might change.
Work with what we got though, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
100%. So, okay, so then what brought you full circle to doing what you're doing now and really wanting to help others and help those people outside of yourself? Doing all this inner work that's sent around.
Yeah, I think for myself that, when I left Hervey Bay, came to the Gold Coast, my family and I, we bought a butcher shop on the Gold Coast, and we had that for, I think, maybe about 3 years. It got to the point where we just couldn't do it anymore. We were working like 80 hours a week. It's fucking ridiculous. It was literally like just being a slave. You would wake up, go to the butcher shop, go home, go to sleep. And we did that for a fair chunk of time. We had to close the doors. We lost a tremendous amount of money on that. My parents split up. It was a lot of chaos within the family for a long time. So that was a big aha moment, as in, oh, hang on a second. That was the start of the hero's journey. That was when I was like, hang on a second, I've got to do things by myself.
Yeah, okay.
Because up until that point, I was still holding on to the family for safety.
Yeah.
So
that letting go again.
Yeah, letting go again, right? It's a regular reoccurrence. But that's what sort of started it. Then from there, I just started reading books. The first book I ever read was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Giant Within. And I will never forget it. Yeah. I'll never forget it until the day I die. I was walking around the block, and I remember listening to it. It's only a short listen. Like, it's only a short book. It was on audio. And that was the moment where my intuition was like just screaming at me. It's like, this is it. This is it. Finally, the door is open. Like, this is where you're meant to be. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Leave me alone. I have no idea what you're talking about. And that was the book that was like, hang on a second. You're telling me that my mind and how I think changes the way that I live? And the ultimate answer to that was yes. But that book messed me up for a good 2 months.
Absolutely, it does.
Then from there, I got addicted. Like I said, even when I was younger, I had a really addictive personality. So now I was just addicted to learning. I was curious. I was like, what if? Started reading all the books, started going all the seminars, all the events. Obviously reading Tony Robbins, it was massively based on NLP. So I was really curious about that. Then I went to UPW, Unleash Your Power Within in Sydney. I think that was about 5 years ago. And that's when shit really started to get... That was when like a fire was lit inside me that I'd never experienced before.
Okay.
A lot of limiting beliefs got blown out. A lot of negative emotion got blown out. And then, it was funny. I came back from that. A week after getting back from UPW, I asked April to marry me. The very next year, like to the year, we got married. The very next year after that, we had Frankie J. So it's been a whirlwind for the last 4 or 5 years.
Just a creation, design and creation in your own way.
Yeah, it's a massive creation, right? But it was just the ability and the hunger of like learning and then implementing, actually doing something with it.
Yeah.
I find that was probably my biggest strength. I would jump off the cliff and I'd build the plane on the way down.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Other people are on the cliff and they're trying to bloody glue shit together and fart around.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're getting nowhere. You're not doing anything.
Yeah. That's it.
But look, in saying that, man, there's a lot of times I jumped off the cliff and landed flat on my face.
You got to be willing to, don't you?
Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. At the bottom of the cliff, it's all cushions. It's all cushions.
Yeah.
You don't you don't die.
And what you realize at the bottom of the cliff, you recognize that you're still at the top of the cliff and you get to jump again.
It never stops, right? You just
fall back on the top of the cliff.
Yeah, you keep on leaping, and that's a valuable thing to know when you understand of how things work, as in what we're talking about now. Yeah. You get to a point and there's got to be a mental jump, or there's got to be like a physical jump. You've got to go and do something. Yeah. That never stops. Ever.
Yeah. 100%. No, it doesn't. Daily, moment to moment.
Yeah. Yeah, literally moment to moment.
And yeah, that's in line with what I've been speaking lately, is just do whatever makes your asshole sweat. As soon as you feel those sweats come on, as soon as you feel those nerves, step forward, step up.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. And I put up. Well, look, we're preaching the same message, right? It's all pointing to the same sort of direction. Fear is a big thing that cripples people in their life. And for me, I lived, 24, 25 years of being stuck in fear. And I was just like, you know what? Fucking no more. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? Is someone going to punch me in the face? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And, when I found out that, well, depending on what you're doing, if you're making good decisions and doing the best you can with what you got, whatever happens is going to be perfect for you, because either way, you're going to get something out of it. So it was just, that was another point in time in my timeline when I was like, you know what? I'm not letting fear fucking run my life anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Fuck that fear.
People say to me now, they're like, oh my God, you look like you do it so easy. I'm like, dude, I still fucking go through every single thing. I'm actually probably the craziest person I know. I'm dead. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, so I don't know. I think we're all crazy. I think all the cool ones are crazy.
Definitely the cool ones are. I think the other ones are as well. They just haven't released the beast yet.
Exactly right. Look, you got to be crazy to so-called stand out. And isn't it ironic that the ones that stand out in the world are the ones that are actually, I'm not going to say doing anything, because a lot of people are doing stuff, but like having a good positive impact for people around them.
Yeah.
And yeah, you go.
Yeah. I was just wanted to bring up just that with people saying and coming up and saying it looks like you're doing it easy. It really is like we still have those same emotions. We still go through the same waves of life, but I think it's just more so the way in which we define it. Like you said, in molding that model of your own world, the way that we define those peaks and troughs now are in such a beautiful way that working hard or pushing forwards or taking leaps of faith or taking risks don't hold that same heavy feeling and definition as what they once did. And so it is effortless. Like, we are just being pulled over the edge, and we are just being pulled through the jungle, and we are being pulled through the storm. And we're still feeling the same feelings. Like, we still feel that fear of, holy shit, I'm falling, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. But we just, it's an embraced, blissful sort of pull in that direction, as opposed to trying to force and stop it from happening.
Yeah, and I think like another really cool thing is, what you're saying is absolutely spot on, right? Couldn't have been, more to the truth than fucking if you tried. The thing is that as you experience more, you get more tools in your tool belt or in your toolbox.
Yeah.
So it's like, as you go through life, different things are going to come at you, but it's like depending on the toolbox that you have will depend on the level of the experience that you have. So for myself now, like knowing NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis, you said to me before, it's like, oh, how what was it? How, like with distractions, it's like, well, now I've got the tool of hypnosis. I can use that to to sort of help that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are they doing over there? They build the building.
I think there's a I don't even know. I think they're pulling down the building.
Someone working hard.
That's it, man. That's it. So I want to touch base on a few last questions to kick us off, which is just in line with the Daily Bee. So first of all, what is your daily morning routine?
What was my daily morning routine? My daily morning routine is Frankie J, my 2-year-old beautiful daughter. She wakes up at 5:30. She runs down the stairs. Well, obviously April goes up and get her. She runs up. She says, "Wake up, Dad. Wake up, Dad." Obviously, Dad wakes up. I then get up. I hang out with Frankie. I hang out with Rocky. Hang out with April. We have dippy eggs on her little kids' table, which is pretty cool. We watch some cartoons on YouTube.
Yep.
That takes me up until about maybe like 7 o'clock. So we do that for about an hour. Then after that, I have a shower. While I'm having a shower, I crank on some tunes. I just go on Spotify, put on some tunes that I've got anchored within myself to produce a certain state. Have a shower, have some breakfast, maybe go for a walk. jump in my car or walk to work. And then once I get in the office, it's like, okay, right, what are we doing? I've got everything planned out on my walls around me. So I just come in and rock and roll. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But that's literally Monday to Friday.
Love it. And how imperative, or can you share a metaphor or a story or a belief around the importance of believing in yourself?
Yeah, I can share a very short metaphor. I think this would be a perfect metaphor for your audience. If you don't believe in yourself, you're fucked. All right, so maybe just first. Yeah, exactly. You heard it here first, right? But it truly is.
It is.
I think now to unpack that, it's like you got to look at what is a belief, and a belief is just a thought that you're absolutely sold on. A belief is just a thought that you are absolutely certain. So it's like, if that's the case, then, well, what could you do to be absolutely certain on another belief?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like the believing in yourself side of things is, it's very, very important. If you don't know how to do it, then what you need to do is obviously you need to learn like either NLP, timeline therapy, or hypnosis. I'm very, very biased because that's what I've used, and that's what I use every single day to, not only help myself out, but other people. But if you didn't know that, I would start to question, why is it that what's the reason why I don't believe in myself? Oh, well, I don't believe in myself because when I was bloody 12 years old, my dad said that, I'd be useless and all this sort of stuff. All right, cool. Well, now being 25, do I believe that? It's like when you were 8 years old, you believed in Santa Claus. You probably don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. So I think like a very important thing to understand is a belief is just the thought that you're 100% sold on.
Mm-hmm.
Sell yourself on another belief.
We could start asking about what is self then as well, but we won't go down that one.
Well, yeah, that's a
long and windy road.
Right. Yeah, there's a windy road.
And again, same question, but on the importance of expressing yourself authentically.
Yeah. So look, I'm a massive believer that this whole authenticity, all this sort of stuff is absolute key, because you are the way that you are. The whole purpose of you is to be you. All right. And the purpose of you being you is because you might know something that someone else knows, but maybe the way that you put it like sinks in. Maybe the way that you say it, they're like, oh my God, I can finally relate to the message, to the, the information coming out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I think almost like on a bigger note, it's like you being you gives people permission for them to be themselves.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. Right? Majority of people are suffering in their life because they're living the life of other people's beliefs and opinions.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It's actually what they believe other people believe as well, because a lot of the time people are too busy worrying about their own shit. They're not even thinking about you, and they don't give a fuck about where you're at.
Oh, mate, massively. Look, you start, because obviously coaching and you talking to a lot of people, start asking people, is this your problem? Whose problem is it?
Yeah, okay.
I can almost guarantee you that 8 times out of 10, it'll have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so why have you chosen to take this problem on board?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, fuck, I don't want it. Okay, well, can you let it go? Oh my God, I feel so free. It's not my problem. It's not their stuff.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah, right?
Beautiful. And mate, the importance of evolving consciously.
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, so it's like the importance of evolving consciously. I truly believe that that's the big reason or big purpose of why we are here. It's a journey, it's a mission, it's an experience, whatever you want to call it. So if you didn't evolve and you didn't grow, then it would almost be like having a beautiful piece of music and just listening to the first 3 seconds and then pushing stop. Like, it wouldn't make sense. You'd be like, why the fuck would you do that? Why would you do that, right? So it's like the whole purpose of what you're doing here is to experience different things. And you experience different things because as you grow, you get a different level of thinking. As you get a different level of thinking, you experience things differently. So this is another analogy that is coming to me now. It's probably a lot more suited for it. Imagine if you went on a trip, right? You went on a trip in a car and you went on a road trip because you wanted to experience the beautiful scenery. And then imagine having two people in the car and one person puts a blindfold on. And they get to the end of the trip. And one person's like, oh, that trip was the shittest trip I've ever had. It's like, well, you had a fucking blindfold on. What did you expect? And the other person, when you look at them, they're just like, oh my God, did you see the beauty? Did you see this? Did you experience that? Did you feel that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, either way, if you're obviously living and watching this right now, you've got a life to live. So you might as well fucking live a good one. That's what I think.
Boom.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Right. Is there any sort of last message you'd like to leave anyone with?
Yeah, look, this is a massive couple of questions that I ask pretty much everyone that I come into contact with. And these questions, they messed me up for quite a long time. But these questions are, you might want to write these down.
It's a pretty part to freeze. Well, that's not what we want. It's going to have to leave us in suspense, old mate Lukey. Is Luke just frozen on my screen? No, I thought so. Okay. Yo. No. He'll be back. Good. Oh, the suspense. It's killing me.
We're back?
Bro, you can't leave us in that suspense like that.
Oh, mate.
That was a move like bat out of hell.
So yeah, they are literally the most important things that you need to know. I really hope you got them. That was crazy, right? That was divine timing at its finest.
At its peak, just showing off now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. All right, so here's the things, right? Let's try this again. So the things that you need to ask yourself, a few powerful questions are, when I open my eyes, what is it that I see? When you open your eyes, what is it that you see? Now that answer that you get, holy shit, that'll describe a lot of things about the life that you're living. So if you want to play this game, Maddie, like when you open your eyes, what is it that you see? Put you on the spot. And this changes day to day, moment to moment, by the way.
Bro, today I'm seeing things differently to what I saw them yesterday.
Yeah, perfect. So look, everyone's, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. No, that's my answer. That's my answer for now.
Okay, good. So everyone's going to have different answers. And look, I would absolutely love for you guys watching to answer this question in the comments below, right? Like when you open your eyes, what is it that you see? When you open your eyes, what is it that you see? Because that will determine a lot of how your life is turning out. All right, so that's question number one. Question number two is, where do you live?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where do you live? Like, very, very powerful.
Yeah,
so where do you live? Once again, you guys that are watching, put these in the freaking comments below because it'd be really, really intriguing to find out. And the third question would be, how committed to myself am I? How committed to myself am I? And if that is anything less than 150,000 million%, then there's sabotage on some level.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, true.
Yeah. All right.
That's heavy, man. They're deep.
They're deep, but they're good. Like these are the questions that unlock a lot of doors. So Katie Cooper said, living in my own farmhouse in where is it? Warburton. Oh, Warburton. Sorry. Yeah. Answer to both. Okay. Good. So Katie Cooper. Yeah. 100%. So yeah. Look. So now, have you still got time, or you got to run?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. What is the time? Yeah, so
Time to
look,
party.
yeah, time to party time. To unpack those questions, right? It's like when you open your eyes, what
Yeah.
is it that you see? I thought about that question for a long time. And I was like, oh, well, I see like stuff. I see like a water bottle. I see myself. But then like once you sort of sit there and start digging a bit deeper, it's like, hang on a second. Like I see like beauty. I see magic. I see life. I see, you know, it's literally just sheer magic when you think about it. You know, when you look underneath, when you look at the deeper level, it's like, holy shit. Then you can start to look at a water bottle. You can start to look at, you know, everyday objects. You start to look at a person. You start to look at a flower. And it's like, fuck, I live in like a really crazy world that is just surrounded with beauty and magic. You know, look at the cloud. Look at the clouds today. Look at grass. Like, how fucking weird is grass? You imagine the world without grass? You look at like a you know, look at like a little kid, like a little innocent kid when you're at a coffee shop next time, and you just look at them. You're like, you're such a small body, but yet you're such an old soul. It's fucking the weirdest thing in the world, you know. And then the second question is like, where is it that you live? It's like, well, do you live within inside yourself? Do you live within your heart? Do you live within your brain? Do you live within, you know, your mind? Like, where's the mind? Where does it live? But once again, they're heavy-hitting questions that, like I said, they're like the golden key. They're like the master key that unlocks 100 doors at once. Yeah. And then obviously the last one is like, how committed to myself am I? And if that's not 100%, then now you know you can do something about it. So, yeah.
That's
where
powerful.
it's at.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much. Can you share with people where they can find you and how they can connect with you as well, and what's coming up this year for yourself that you're chucking on that they might be interested in?
Yeah. So this year is going to be pretty crazy as I look at the calendar, but it'll be epic. So what you can do, you can jump onto selfmasterywithluke.com. Jump onto there. I've got a heap of heap of cool stuff. What I do, how I do it, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. There's a free book on there, and I can't remember if there's a free audio book. If not, if you want a copy, let me know and I'll send it to you. It's freaking epic. Obviously you can find me on Facebook. I tend to put most of my stuff on Facebook. I just find it easy. And then on what month are we in? January. So on the 19th of January, I've actually got a free event coming up on the Gold Coast at the McCure Resort. I don't know if you're coming to that. You may or not be. But definitely get along to that. We've got like 3 hours, of cool stuff. Obviously, other than that, I've got like NLP and timeline therapy training if you want to get certified in, helping people out. And that's probably the number one thing that I'm really passionate about right now is giving people that are wanting to create change, the tools to create change. Because once upon a time, I never had them, and I was wondering why things were so hard. Like, fuck, this is rough. So,
yeah.
And
that's essentially your motivator now, by the sounds of it, is having those skills that you can pass on to others to basically give them what you didn't have when you were going through your own hero's journey.
Oh, look, massively. I truly believe that it is a God-given right, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not talking about God as in Jesus, but it's a God-given right for a human to understand how they work. I just think that personally that is it's a big thing that every single person should know, but not many people do know. So I want to do the best that I can to say, hey, look, I'm not saying like, here I am, I know everything. That would be very, very, silly of me. But what I am saying is like, here's a whole heap of stuff that is really, really powerful. And I truly believe that you're going to want to know what it is and how to do it.
100%.
Change the way you think, you'll change the way you live. It's really it's that simple.
Yeah, that timeline therapy, NLP, and hypnosis, some of the most powerful activities and understandings that I've come across as well. It's full on. So for anyone that hasn't been involved with that or isn't aware or isn't trained or hasn't experienced it, definitely hit Luke up and he'll take you through some pretty amazing experiences for sure.
Yeah.
And get you trained up if that's what you're wanting to do as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's powerful. I was actually, through life experiences over the last 6 months, recently, I sort of, well, I know where it's come from, but recently I've had this urge to, I don't necessarily know if it's like train parents in it, but I suppose like it would be, but teach parents about what we're sort of talking about now, as in NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, because I find that there's a very big hole or a very big gap in the way that young people think. And there's a lot of them, because they don't know how to think, there's a lot of them getting labeled with depression, bipolar, fucking autism, depression, like all these sorts of things. And it's just like, wow, I'm pretty sure that we could turn that around quite significantly. So who knows? It might be me. It might be someone that I help out. Maybe that's their mission. But I just know that there's a hole there that needs filling. Yeah,
fantastic. Let's hope it gets filled sooner rather than later.
Yeah, 100%. Because people's lives literally, they're depending on it. It's pretty crazy. When you think about it like that. Man, it's been awesome.
Thank you for joining me. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. As you could see, I like to talk, right? So this is cool.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah.
And guys, just one last thing as well. If you are looking to open up, really start believing in yourself, express yourself authentically and evolve consciously, a really great way to start doing that is in the 30-Day Go Live Challenge. So just look up 30-Day Go Live Challenge on Facebook and come and join the group. There's some epic, amazing, beautiful people really just opening up, spreading their love, sharing their gifts, and just supporting one another in doing that. So come and feel free to join the group.
Yeah.
Buddy, lovely chatting to you. Chat very soon.
Thanks, my man. Take it easy.
See you guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
See you guys.